Anti-vaxxer entitled mom leaves her sick kid with me unannounced and expects me to take care of him because she doesn't want to get sick. I am 17-year-old female with multiple invisible disabilities, none of which are contagious. I sometimes wear a mask in public places, especially places with children in them. Children are already interested in my interestingly colored hair, and my immune system sucks too much to be taking any risks. Nothing I have is contagious, but all the time of this story, a few months ago, there were 4 measles cases in my direct area, and more in the surrounding countries. And yes, if you saw my malicious compliance story from a while ago, this is the return of Entitled Will. The story starts at a park I lived near. It's about 5 or 6 streets down from my own. As I don't have enough stamina to walk, I drive my car there. All praise the Batmobile, my lovely rogue. I sometimes visit the park to sit and draw, as it is a very calm place usually. It's not super busy, except for weekends and after 3 p.m. when schools get out. The park is surrounded by houses that all face it. This is important for later. This day, I was sitting at a bench that was farther away from either the play areas. I was sitting down and drawing a moth. I draw a lot of bugs. When I immediately feel a prescience appear to the right of me. I have sensory issues, so I'm not really comfortable with random things happening around me, especially being surprised with a living, breathing human. I look to my left and I see Entitled Ma'am, who plopped small kid right next to me, basically shoving him into my side. This startled me, so I immediately jumped a bit and jerked away. I looked up at Entitled Ma'am in shock, as she looked down at me in discontent. She said something to me, but in the moment I didn't have enough time to process the thought of taking my earbuds out and interrupting arcade fire. Suddenly, Entitled Mom bends down and jerks my earbud out of my ear, so hard it made my ear ring. Entitled Mom: "You should listen when adults are talking to you, young lady." Me: "Pardon? You caught me off guard. Was there something you needed?" She huffed loudly and tapped her long nail extensions against her hips. That's a reason I call where I live Entitledville. Everyone there is a stuck-up individual whose husbands don't love them. "I am leaving small kid with you. I have work to do around the house." She then immediately turned around to go back to her house, which I later found out was one of the houses that faced the park. I immediately stood up, cane in hand, and started walking after her when I noticed that I accidentally knocked small kid to the ground. Small kid wasn't crying at all, just looked confused. This is when I noticed that small kid has mucus dropped everywhere, and he looked super sickly. "Man, you can't just leave me with... Wait, is he sick?" Entitled Mom runs to small kid to see if he's okay, somehow not yelling about how I hurt her baby, which is out of the ordinary. "Yes, he's still building up his immune system, and you need to take care of him. You can't get sick if you're sick already." That's the biggest myth I've ever seen, by the way. If you're sick and your immune system is all around the place, you're more vulnerable to other diseases. Then it clicked. The fool thought that because of my mask I was sick, and therefore could care for her clearly very ill child. Me: "I'm sorry, but no. I have a weak immune system and I have to go home and shower off whatever germs you just put next to me. Please, lady, take your kid to a doctor. He looks terrible." "Don't tell me what to do with my child. We don't do doctors in this family anymore. Not since they tried to vaccinate small kid over and over again." I see how that's working for you though. My heart sank as I realized what I was up against. I had gotten whooping cough just a few months before this incident, and I was, and still am, struggling from the lingering effects. Even though I'm fully vaccinated, what if this kid has something serious? My fight or flight response kicked in and immediately told me to run to my car. I grabbed my sketchbook and pencils and started running, totally ignoring my bad joints and muscles in the process. That sprint really messed me up for a few days. "Where are you going, young lady? You can't just leave my child here. I'll call the police on you for child endangerment." I couldn't even come up with a response, so I said nothing and continued running. I jumped in my car out of breath and turned on the ignition. That's when I saw Entitled Man with small kid in hands running towards the Batmobile. Without a word, I pressed on the gas, nearly missing entitled mom as she was about to run into the middle of the street. She was yelling other profanities and stuff behind me as I sped off. I drove past the park a few weeks later and saw entitled mom talking with neighbor in front of her house, which was for a sale. I heard from a mutual neighbor that her husband got a job somewhere in Germany, and I'm now just glad she's gone and I can sketch in peace. For all I care, Germany can have her. Isn't Germany one of those actually sane European countries where refusing to vaccinate makes you a negligent parent and their equivalents of CPS gets called? Not yet. My best friend forever is anti-vax and already looking for a plan B when our mandatory measles injection becomes the law. I so flippin' hate her for that. Last week she asked me why I'm up to date with my shots. I told her bluntly that it's because of Karens like her. Noise. Entitled ma'am confiscates her son's computer after she randomly assumed he was watching hentai. Okay, so here's some context. I like to sell some software that I create online. For some quite cheap prices, I think that I undercharged, but oh well. Anyway, here's the story. A few months ago, Nice son found a piece of my software online and wanted to buy it. It was normally £25, but he asked for a discount, which I gave him as he sounded like he was a young teenager, and he said it would help him a lot. Therefore, I lowered the price to £20 for him. A few hours later, he asked his mom if she could spare him £20 so that he could buy something on the computer. He later messaged me and we had this conversation. Nice son. Okay, I just asked my mom for £20 so I can buy it. Me. Okay, great. She just asked me what on earth could I be buying for £20. So I just said a program for my computer. Me. Okay, what did she say to that? Nice son. Long story. Me. Oh great. Nice son. Yeah, shrug. This is what happened. There's gonna be a lot of messages. Me. I'm ready. Nice son. Okay. Once I told her that it was just a program for my computer, she started asking lots of questions. What is it? What program is it? Did you get it hacked? Wait, are you buying hentai? Nice son. You know, I'm only 14. I don't believe you. I am taking your computer right now. You are not going to watch that filth whilst you live in this house. I put this roof over your head. If you want to watch that, you can get out. Mom, I'm not what? Don't interrupt me. Where's your computer? Upstairs, but you're not having it. Yes, I am. I am your mother, and you should obey me. Nice son tells me that he ran upstairs and turned off his PC immediately. Back to the conversation with Nice son and me. Nice son. And here I am right now, with no computer, no phone, just an old iPod that I used to use. Me. Dang, dude. If you message me once you get your stuff back, I'll give you the program for free. Sorry about all of that. Your mom seems quite annoying. Nice son. Oh really? Thanks man. And yeah, she is. Me. Alright, see ya man. Gonna go now. Nice son. See ya. Entitled ma'am wanted me to let her kid color in my book. This happened yesterday. After work I had to take my car to get it inspected, an oil change and a car wash. I knew that this might take a while to get done, as I was going after work and it might get busy. I planned ahead and brought with me my sketchbook and nice colored ink pens. I am a doodler, so even though I am not sketching profiles or landscapes, I am still drawing mandals and things like that. Things that take a lot of time and effort to make. Cue to a busy waiting room. The couches are all taken, so I grab a seat at the table, which I actually prefer since I'm sketching. I first noticed Entitled Ma'am and Entitled Daughter sitting on one of the couches. Entitled Ma'am was scrolling through her phone while Entitled Daughter was complaining about being bored because they had been there forever. I pull out my moleskin sketchbook, black ink pen and start working on a doodle that I've been working on for a few days now. A few minutes later, I hear the pitter-patter of tiny Entitled Daughter's feet come up next to me. What's a drawing? I'm working on this doodle. I showed it to her. That just looks like a bunch of weird lines. And me. Can I draw too? Do you have your own paper and pens? No. Then I guess you'll have to wait until you get home to draw. But you have extra paper and pens. Let me use them. You're supposed to share. Nah, kid, these are my things and I don't want you using them. This is when Entitled Daughter starts crying. The crying is what cues Entitled Ma'am to look up from her phone. Entitled Daughter runs over to Entitled Ma'am and says, "That mean lady won't let me color in her book." Entitled Mom gets up from her seat and comes over to me. Entitled Mom, "Entitled Daughter wants to have some of your paper and pen so she can color. You need to do it because she's bored." No, these are my things and I have every right to not want some random child using them. I then try to explain to her that I don't like ripping pages out of my sketchbook because it might ruin the integrity of the book, and that my ink pens are somewhat expensive, which means I don't want other people using them. All reasonable answers. Oh no, there was no convincing Entitled Ma'am. She went off about how I wasn't actually drawing real art, and how her precious daughter needs entertainment, and how I have to let her have some paper or else she'll tell the manager of the car place. I was starting to get really ticked off, but I just grabbed my things and moved to area of chairs that are on an outside patio type area. Thankfully, Entitled Mom's car was ready soon after, and she ended up leaving, but damn was I afraid she wasn't going to let it go. That was it for this video. Feel free to leave feedback in the comments. I read and answer every comment. And until the next time, stay awesome.